Hello everyone and welcome back to DarkHorse FM. Now I know it's been a while that I made a video about an overpowered tactic for Football Manager 2023, but in this video we'll be looking at an extremely overpowered tactic for FM 2023. It's high pressing, it's high intensity, it's high goal scoring, so if you're using a mid-table side, look away now. This tactic is actually designed for elite teams only. But stubborn as I was, I did go on to test it with a few mid-table teams, and I'm going to show you the results in this video as to how those teams turned out using the tactic. But originally this tactic is designed for elite teams, and I do recommend that you use an elite side with high technical players if you're going to execute this tactic perfectly. So we'll start our breakdown with Wolves. Now they were predicted to finish somewhere around 16th or 15th in the league, but they've managed to get into the European places. We're currently on match day 22. I did actually let the league go all the way to the season. I actually had a seminar to attend today. So Wolves have lost 6 times in the league. They've actually gone on to have good results as well in their 13 games, their 13 victories. There's a standout victory here over Chelsea. So if you look at the team shadow, you can see that they do have good results. One odd defeat here and there, there's one against Brighton, but then there's a standout victory here against Chelsea at home. Player stats wise, there's nothing too standout. The tactic doesn't really overpower all the teams you play against if you're using a team like Wolves, but if you look at the team stats, using a team like Wolves, the most points per game, we can see that Liverpool do have the most points per game. They're expected to be there, but Wolverhampton Wanderers have 1.91 points per game, so that's slightly above 1.5, and if you're a mid-table team, you probably take that because it's well above 1 and it's way lower, it's way higher than 0.5 or less than a point per game, so you probably be winning more matches than you're expected to win. You can go into the least conceded as well. You can see that Wolverhampton Wanderers actually conceded 25 goals, Liverpool have 14 and Manchester United have 18, surprisingly. So they are right up there with Manchester City as well. Man City have 22 and Wolves have 25. So as much as the tactic is heavy on attack, they're actually conceding less goals, probably because they're spending more time actually attacking the opposition and using that as an attempt to actually restrict the opposition from scoring against them. The next team that we're looking at is RB Salzburg in Austria. Now they have a lot more demand on themselves as to the amount of competition that they're allowed to play, so I think the tactic, as extreme as it is, probably hit Salzburg really hard. So they lost 3 games in the league. They're still top of the league. They're doing quite well, and I think at some point they might go on to win the league eventually, but in the Champions League they finished in 3rd. They're currently still in the Europa League and they've been knocked out of the Austrian FA Cup. League wise, they have the most goals per game. They've scored 30 goals currently in 22 matches, which is, for me, it's not very high, but Salzburg, I think they're struggling because all the other competitions that they have to face, their squad is actually stretched really thin. So you do need to have a very good squad and a thick squad to actually execute this tactic. That is why I'm recommending you use it for elite teams. Salzburg do have 2.19 points per game, and by elite teams I do mean you need to have a team that is probably stronger than RB Salzburg, because as much as they are the top team in Austria, they're still struggling because of how extreme the tactic is and how it's actually costing them in other competitions. They're having to play so many games and it's getting seriously stressful for the players that they have. Fewest conceded, they're in 4th as well with 13, and that's because the season hasn't really gone very far. I do expect that they will concede slightly more goals than this. Another team privileged to test out this tactic is one of the elite teams in Portugal, and that's FC Porto. The reason why I picked Porto is because they are similar to the shape of the tactic. It's a 4-4-2 system, so FC Porto do actually have players shaped in the 4-4-2 that can actually play in the selected roles for this tactic. And looking at their amount of victories, they're actually the one team that went all the way to score 9 goals to 1 against Chaves, and Chaves are actually a top team in Portugal as well, so it's surprising that they actually went on to put 9 past Chaves, and then they've gone on to win most of their games. Their recent match was a 1-0 defeat to Ferreira. This actually looks like a player's name more than a club's name. That's really surprising. If you do know the name of this club, do tell me. Let me know in the comment section what it actually stands for. And looking at the competition, how PSG or how FC Porto went on to do, we will get to PSG very soon. That I kind of slipped out of my mouth real quick. Portuguese Cup, Portuguese League, they've gone on to win the Portuguese League Cup. They won the Super Cup as well, and the Champions League, they're in knockout phases, and they're currently leading the league with 9 points. Benfica are right in 2nd, and then looking at the team stats, they have the most goals with 58, most points per game in 2.6. Possession goes to Sporting Lisbon. I don't know how somebody's able to average 65% possession in how many games. That's scary numbers. But Porto have similar numbers to RB Salzburg in possession, 54%. Salzburg did have 55. So since I brought them up earlier, I do have to speak about them now. PSG are the one team in this series that actually have a 99 or 95% win ratio. They've actually not lost any game in the league, so they are it's scary as to how this tactic actually goes on to work. This is the first time I've actually seen this in a long time on Football Manager. So ignoring the friendlies, they've gone on to have heavy victories over Montpellier, Lille, AS Monaco as well. Nantes, Juventus was not so heavy, but it's quite a good one. They did beat Shakhtar the next 5-0, and then there's PSV in there 4-0. They did beat Stade Troyes in the league 6-0. Marseille as well has actually been a victim, 4-0. There's a friendly here and there. Auxerre, I do expect them to beat Auxerre. And then there's a recent victory now in a 7-1 victory over Toulouse, and then they've also beaten Reims by 5-1. It's an amazing and ridiculous amount of goals that PSG have actually gone on to score in this system. And looking at the competition so far, they do have demands as well, but they're in all the competitions. They've won the Trophy de Champion already. The French Cup is still in there. They might go on to win that. And then there's Champions League as well. Champions League demands against Eintracht Frankfurt. And you can see here in the league that PSG are still undefeated with 0 games lost. They've drawn only 1, and then they've won 21 times. Mbappe has the most goals and the highest average rating with 22 goals and 8.01. Most points per game, PSG has the highest, 2.91. That's ridiculously high. Lille is in there as well with 2.14. And then PSG have already scored 82 goals they were currently in the 7th of February. So it's unimaginable as to where they will be at match day 38. Looking at the most possession, they're in there with 59. So not up to 50 quite well. But I think the 59 is because they are PSG. They're expected to have most of the ball, and that's fine. I thought about speaking on the least conceded being 11 goals. Now I know that PSG are expected to concede limited amount of goals because they are the best team in the French league, but conceding only 11 goals from September, when does the league start? In August, all the way till February, it's quite a remarkable achievement as well. So before we proceed, I do have to mention one more thing, and I did go on to test the tactic out with a few other teams. I didn't get the chance to look at how they actually performed because they did so badly that the board of directors actually decided to part company with the manager. So the other teams that we did go on to test out the tactic with were RB Leipzig, Southampton and Villarreal in the Spanish La Liga. I was hoping for Villarreal, but it didn't really work out the way I thought it was going to be. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, do remember to hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button if you actually enjoy Football Manager content and Football Manager tactic videos like this. Let's look at the tactic now and see what is suspected of us. So like I mentioned, it's a 4-4-2 tactic if it's eventually going to click. Yeah, here we are. It's a 4-4-2 system with 2 segundo volantes on support duty, and then you have inverted wingers on attack duty. The name of this tactic is actually Sympathy for the Devil. Now, it's a tactic created by NAP for a different Football Manager game. I forget which one, but it's long since been forgotten, and the way the tactic is designed, you can see that it's really extreme. So I do recommend that you pick a very good team that has strong squad depth to actually go on to fill out this tactic. Now, the role selection was quite tricky because I imagine asking Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe to play as pressing forwards on support duty. That's an interesting one, but they somehow found a way to do it, as PSG does have the best performance with this tactic. So we're going to look at all the player roles and all the player instructions as well, and the team instructions, so step by step, in case you do want to recreate the tactic for yourself. Do want to follow along with the video so you can actually see every player. It's quite instruction heavy, so I do recommend that you follow the video step by step. Now for the goalkeeper, you're opting for a sweeper keeper on support duty, or should I say NAP did opt for a sweeper keeper on support duty here, and the only instruction for the sweeper keeper is to tackle harder. Your 2 wing backs are complete wing backs and they're both playing on attack duty. It's quite open like that, and at first I was skeptical, but I did go on to follow along with it, and it did give PSG goals. It did give Wolves a European competition to compete in at the end of the season. So looking at the left back, or the right back first of all, the right back is a complete wing back on attack, and he has been asked to pass it shorter, shoot less often, close down more, tackle harder and mark tighter. On the left hand side, it's not really mirrored as much. The complete wing back on attack duty has been asked to pass it shorter, shoot less often, close down more, tackle harder. Okay, these are the same thing. Yeah, actually the same instructions for both complete wing backs, so that's good. Ball playing defenders on defend duty, pass it shorter, pass it shorter. Those are the only instructions. You now have 2 segundo volantes, and I think the instructions are quite different. One is more of a playmaker than a complete segundo volante. So the segundo volante on the right hand side has been asked to dribble less, shoot less often, get further forward, tackle harder and mark tighter. And then the playmaker segundo volante is the segundo volante on the left hand side, and he has been asked to pass it shorter, take fewer risks, dribble less, shoot less often, get further forward, tackle harder, mark tighter, and yeah, okay, I already mentioned tackle harder. It's going to be a lot of tackle harder in this tactic. So what I realized from the team instructions or the player instruction is he's more of a holding midfielder than a playmaker. Now on either flank you have inverted wingers on attack duty, and I have to also confirm now if they both have identical instructions, and they do not. So The inverted winger on the right hand side has been asked to pass it shorter, cross more often, shoot less often, roam from position, sit narrower, close down more, tackle harder and mark tighter, while the inverted winger on the left hand side has been asked to cross more often, shoot less often, roam from position, sit narrower, close down more, tackle harder and mark tighter. Now you don't see this every day, but your two pressing forwards on attack are pressing forwards on support duty. Pressing forward on the right hand side, no instructions for him, but then the pressing forward on the left has been asked to shoot less often. Now the team instructions is tailored to actually move the ball as quickly as possible while also controlling what the team does when they're in the final third. The mentality for this tactic is generally set to attacking, but then you can see that the in possession instruction is actually forcing the team to try to play a possession based style of play while they are forcing or trying to hit the ball into the back of the net or trying to score more goals as quickly as possible. So the attacking width here is set to extremely wide, very wide, and then you have the pass into space instruction selected, looking for the overlaps on either flank, and then you have the goalkeeper and the team as a whole playing out of defense. Passing directness is standard, and then everything is standard on the tempo side. You have the team running at defense, and then you can see here low crosses and walk the ball into the box instruction. That kind of controls how rapidly the team is trying to attack. Now in transition, the team has been asked to counter press and then to counter. The goalkeeper has been instructed to distribute the ball to the fullbacks, throwing it long because I do expect that the defensive line is extremely high, so the fullbacks are going to be quite far away from the goalkeeper. And then looking at the out of possession instruction, you can see, just as I mentioned, much higher defensive line with a high press. The team is pressing much more often and then preventing short goalkeeper distributions. They've also been instructed to get stuck in. For PSG, this might be a problem because you have Neymar and Mbappe up front. Mbappe and Messi up front. They're not really the kind of guys that are going to get stuck in. So that was interesting, but somehow it worked out for PSG because they're still undefeated as we speak. Now there is a set piece routine for the tactic, and this is the way it's set up. It's a short corner sent to the defensive midfielder on the right hand side, so you can then whip the ball into the box, and then you have a centre half attacking the far post, and then you have another centre half attacking or lurking around the near post. Now I don't know how successful this set piece routine is going to be, so I do recommend that you create your own set piece routines for this tactic, or import your own set piece routines if you have a corner setup that you trust that actually works out for you. You can go on to include that. For this one on PSG, they actually did the best in this save in this particular tactic testing. Marquinhos actually scored only 8 goals from corners, or 8 goals as a whole. I'm going to assume some of them came from corners, but that to me means that not so many players scored goals from this corner routine. So I do recommend that you actually add yours. So there you have it, guys. 4-2-4 Sympathy for the Devil, created by NAP for a different Football Manager game. So if you did enjoy this tactic, or if you do have comments about the tactic or simple questions about the tactic, you can do let me know in the comment section as well. And if you have ideas for more Football Manager tactic testing videos like this, you can let me know in the comment section too. We'll do a bit of research on the tactic and then let you, or you probably know if the video actually comes out eventually. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in another video, and remember to like the video and share it if you found it useful. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do have to subscribe. That helps the channel a lot. We're trying to lean towards 2,000 subscribers real soon. I do enjoy the fact that you guys support the channel so much. It's helped me a great deal, and I appreciate that a whole lot. I'll see you in the next video.